We're also expecting a big protest tomorrow as friends and family of a man choked to death outside Denny's planned a rally outside the DA's office. Terry Thompson was charged with killing John Hernandez last year, but last night a judge declared a mistrial. Jurors could not reach a verdict after more than 3 days of deliberations. So what's next in this case? Well, prosecutors told us last night they're weighing their options. If they choose to retry the case, it would mean a blank slate. They would start from the beginning, laying out all of the evidence as if the first trial never even happened. Prosecutors told us they believe witnesses would cooperate if there was another trial. Tonight at 10, our legal expert weighs in on some strategies they might take moving forward.